million things that we should talk about here. So what we're going to try to do is, Sean's going to read off questions, try to hit as many topics as possible, and and again, as I said, as I did in Manchester, I'll try to stick around a little bit afterwards to talk. So go ahead.
Right, Chris. So here, we'll start off with the Rand Paul question, because there's been a couple of those.
Senator,
Sure.
I have a question about the sequester. You said that this was
listen,
an open forum.
Sir, you disrupted the meeting last time.
You
We
said
really
this was
need
an
you.
open
We really,
forum. And you thought
sir,
that
we.
you said that this was
Sit down, sir.
so far, you filibustered this whole meeting.
We gotta, sir. I understand that you did this last time. You're doing it again, but you've gotta.
About the subject you brought up.
You've gotta let us have this meeting. You've gotta have this meeting.
Well, this is back and forth. You said it was an open forum.
All right, sir. We've got to be able to have this meeting.
Let me ask my question.
We've got to be able to have this meeting. We have these questions that are submitted.
All right, Chris, here we go. Senator Paul, Chris, where do you stand on Senator Paul's filibuster last week? And if you don't support what he was talking about, do you support the fact that he was actually talking?
I don't always support Rand Paul talking, but no. Listen, let me say a couple things about this. There's the more limited issue that Senator Paul was talking about, and then there's the broader issue of how we use drones across the world, right? Rand Paul was talking about, most of the time, was talking about this fairly limited issue of whether the president has the legal right to use drones on American citizens here in the United States. And finally, as the Attorney General wrote to him in a fairly terse letter the day after his filibuster, the president said, no, of course, the President of the United States does not have the ability to use a drone on an American citizen here at home. Listen, I think we all knew that was the answer to that question when Senator Paul began that filibuster, but I'll say two things about the issues that he raised. First is this. We have come to, I would argue, over-rely on drones to do our fighting around the world. And though Paul's filibuster was mostly about drone use here at home, he has the same concern that I do and many others do about the way that we've used them, in particular in Pakistan, but certainly in other parts of the globe as well. Pakistan is a nuclear nation, and it is a country that is at the heart of American national security interests. And yet, we continue to do enormous damage to the United States reputation all over the world, in particular in that country, in Pakistan, because we drop bombs out of drones on enemy combatants in Pakistan. But those bombs often fall on civilians as well. I understand that there's a limited use for drone technology. There are times in which there are very bad people in remote parts of the world, and we need to deal with them with that technology. I believe that we've overused it. I believe that we've become too reliant on it to the point that it has done real damage to the reputation of the United States in Pakistan, and in particular throughout the Muslim world. And this is part of Paul's criticism as well. I think we've got to be much more careful about it. I also think that we've got to be much more careful about protecting civil liberties here at home. I have never believed that there is a choice to be made in terms of protecting this nation and protecting civil liberties. In fact, I think the two are interdependent. How can we go out and try to preach to the rest of the world to join us as a civilized democracy when we are illegally wiretapping our own citizens here at home? So I just think it makes it very hard for the United States to hold itself up on a pedestal if we aren't observing basic civil liberties here, even if I don't believe that this administration or any other administration is really going to drop a bomb on an American citizen within the United States. The second point is this. What Rand Paul did was do a real filibuster, a Mr. Smith goes to Washington filibuster. He stood up on the floor of the Senate for 12 hours somehow, and talked about a really important issue and grab the consciousness of this country in doing so. Unfortunately, that's not how most filibusters go. There's a rule in the Senate that basically allows you to do a secret filibuster, whereby you just require 60 votes in order for debate to be ended. You don't actually have to go out there and debate it on the floor. You just require that 60 votes be the obstacle to getting a vote. And issue after issue, bill after bill gets buried under pretend filibusters. I don't think that makes sense. I think the United States Senate should have majority rule. I think it's hard enough to get a bill passed in the American system, given that you have to get the House of Representatives to agree to it, the Senate to agree to the exact same version of it, and the President to sign it. I think our founding fathers are rolling over in their graves seeing what has become of the United States Senate. And so I'm a supporter of filibuster reform, and I hope that Paul's filibuster, whether you agree with him or not, showed people that, frankly, the best way to draw attention to something you care about is to engage in a real filibuster rather than one of these fake filibusters. And so regardless of sort of what I thought about his 12-hour performance, I think hopefully it will lend some credence to those of us who think that we should change the rules.